Hi, my name is Julius. Today we are going to talk about Windows Disk Management. Disk Management is a system utility in Windows that enables you to perform advanced storage tasks. Here are some of the things disk management is good for: setting up a new drive, extending a volume, shrinking a volume, and changing a drive letter. If you add a brand new disk to your PC and it doesn't show up in the File Explorer, you might need to add a drive letter or initialize it before using it. You can only initialize a drive that is not yet formatted. Initializing a disk erases everything on it and prepares it for use by Windows, after which you can format it and then store files on it. Here's how to initialize a new disk using disk management. First, open Disk Management with administrator permissions. To do so, in the search box on the taskbar, type Disk Management, then select Run as Administrator, and then select Yes. In Disk Management, right-click the disk you want to initialize and then click Initialize Disk. If the disk is listed as offline, first right-click it and select Online. Note that some USB drives don't have the option to be initialized. They just get formatted and a drive letter. In the Initialize Disk dialog box, check to make sure that the correct disk is selected and then click OK to accept the default partition style. Disks can be divided up into multiple chunks called partitions. Each partition, even if you have only one, has to have a partition style. It could be either GPT or MBR. Windows uses the partition style to understand how to access the data on the disk. Nowadays, you don't usually have to worry about partition style. Windows automatically uses the appropriate disk type. For most PCs, use the GUID partition table or GPT disk type for hard drives and SSDs. GPT is more robust and allows volumes bigger than 2 TB. The older Master Boot Record or MBR disk type is used by 32-bit PCs, older PCs, and removable drives such as memory cards. Next is select and hold or right-click the unallocated space on the drive and then select New Simple Volume. Select Next, specify the size of the volume, and then select Next. Specify the drive letter you want to assign to the volume and then select Next. Specify the file system you want to use, usually NTFS, select Next, and then Finish. You can use disk management to add space to an existing volume, extending it into an empty space on the drive, but only if the empty space doesn't have a volume on it, or in other words, it is unallocated, and comes immediately after the volume you want to extend with no other volumes in between. The volume to extend also must be formatted with the NTFS or REFS file systems. Here's how to extend a volume into empty space immediately after the volume on the drive. First, open Disk Management with administrator permissions. Select and hold or right-click the volume that you want to extend and then select Extend Volume. Select Next and then on the Select Disks page of the wizard, specify how much to extend the volume. Typically, you'll want to use the default value, which uses all the available free space, but you can use a smaller value if you want to create additional volumes in the free space. Select Next and then Finish to extend the volume. You can decrease the space used by primary partitions and logical drives by shrinking them into adjacent, contiguous space on the same disk. For example, if you discover that you need an additional partition but do not have additional disks, You can shrink the existing partition from the end of the volume to create new unallocated space that can be used for a new partitions. When you shrink a partition, any ordinary files are automatically relocated to the disk to create a new unallocated space. There is no need to reformat a disk to shrink the partition. Here's how to shrink a basic volume using the Windows interface. In Disk Manager, right-click the basic volume you want to shrink. Click Shrink Volume. Follow the on-screen instructions. You can also shrink a basic volume using the command line. To do so, open up the command prompt and type disk part. At the disk part prompt, type list the volume. Note the number of the simple volume you want to shrink. At the disk part prompt, type select volume and then the volume number. It selects the simple volume you want to shrink. At the disk part prompt, type shrink followed by desired and then enter the desired size. Space minimum followed by the minimum size. It shrinks the selected volume to the desired size in megabytes if possible, or to minimum size if the desired size is too large. If you don't like the drive letter assigned to your drive, or if you've got a drive that doesn't yet have a drive letter, you can use the disk management to change it. Here's how to change the drive letter. Open Disk Management with administrator permissions. In Disk Management, select and hold or right-click the volume for which you want to change or add drive letter, and then select drive letter and paths. To change the drive letter, select Change. To add a drive letter if the drive doesn't already have one, select Add. Select the new drive letter, select OK, and then select Yes when prompted about how programs that rely on the drive letter might not run correctly. And that is Windows Disk Management. I hope you guys enjoyed the lesson and you learned something today. Again, this is Julius. Thank you for watching.